When I was a child, my mother would take my older brother and I to piano lessons. They had the idea that learning how to play an instrument is something that brings character into a young man's life. We had those piano lessons in a room full with instruments. Instruments that I've never seen before, and instruments that I only heard of on TV. In that place, there was a dark room as well, full with cotton walls and instruments. And those instruments had uh, microphones being pointed at them. That room raised my curiosity towards music because I needed to understand what was the use of that room. Later on that year, my parents decided to pull us out of music school and they wanted us to learn how to play sports. They had also came up with the idea that learning sport will be something that bring much more character into a young man's life. So me and my older brother, we started to learn how to play tennis. A couple months after that, my father found out that the coach, the teacher, was actually stealing money from us. The money that he was being given to buy the equipments that we needed to learn the sport was being put into different usage, his personal use, actually. Um, with such devastating news, my father gave up and told us to focus in school and get good grades and learn something. My mother, on the other hand, decided that she would reach out to the musician of a church that we visited and ask them if they would be able to teach us how to play music. Even though they weren't professionals, they knew enough, at least to my mother, that they could teach us how to play. Um, so we learned for a couple months, but it did not work too well. They judged us a lot. I was the only young musician there at that time. They judged, they judged us a lot. Um, they would tell us that the way that we're playing is not the right way, that we gotta do better, and sometimes we'd be playing and they looked at us like they were disgusted by the way that we were playing. Um, couple months down that year went by, and my parents, well, the owner of the church reached out to two other musicians that were having issues with the church that they were currently visiting. They came over to our church. They played. They played really well, and they were cool enough that me and the other musicians felt comfortable and enough to ask them to teach us how to play. So we learned from them, and it was a really, really nice experience. But I knew there was more to music. I knew it wasn't just notes and instruments and music and church. I knew it was more. So I did more research and I stumbled onto a scenery where the music was being produced on a computer. Um, I was fascinated. I was amazed. I couldn't believe that this whole time I could have been behind the desk and making music. After getting the idea of what I needed to do to involve myself in that world, a world where music is being made through a computer screen, I took a computer that I had laying around, um, also some speakers that I had laying around, and I started establishing the connection. I started to put in my head how I needed to connect the computer through the speaker and still be able to control the volume in between. In other words, how do I keep the volume on the computer low enough so that it doesn't disturb the speaker, but at the same time, how do I raise the volume of the speaker so that it could come out nice and clean? And I did that for about a month or two. Um, I kept trying different connections. I kept going to YouTube, kept buying different plugs, but I knew that I didn't want to change the computer and the speaker. I had to make it work. The moment I felt comfortable enough with the knowledge that I had acquired, I purchased my studio. Of course, I also had to do research on the equipment that I needed to start the recording process, meaning the computer, the microphone, the mic stand, the amplifier, the connectors, the soundproof pads, everything that I needed to have a decent record and a decent song. As soon as I built the studio, I invited a couple artists over. Well, at the time, they weren't artists. They were just individuals that were looking for a place to record, a place that they wouldn't be judged, a place they'll feel comfortable working in, writing a song, somebody out that could give them positive feedback because not a lot of artists like to go to just any studio. They like to be around somebody that they could trust, somebody's somehow on the same level as them, somebody they can relate to, pretty much. Um, we worked on a couple songs, we gave each other feedbacks. I was happy with the way that they conducted themselves. They was happy with the way that I conducted myself. We established a relationship and decided that we will be working together. About a year or two went on, and I started to realize that I needed to upgrade my studio. I needed to upgrade some of my equipment, the monitors, the speakers. I didn't want an open room with just a microphone standing in it. I wanted a closed space with soundproof walls and a door that would eliminate any echoes that I had going on around that time. So I purchased those. And I also purchased plugins because I wanted a different sound. I wanted to upgrade my sound. I wanted to sound better, and also I wanted to sound like most of the industry rappers sound, because most artists that I was working with, that I came across, that's the sound that they was looking for. So I purchased decent plugins and it did the job. Um, One of the artists that I had the chance to work with, um, after it was done, he was really content with the song that we worked on. He was happy with it. He posted it. Um, got a lot of compliments on the song, and while he was getting compliments, I was getting recognition. A lot of people knew that I worked on the song, because other artists, other people that he was with, was posting him in the studio. A couple people that knew who he was or who he is, um, recognized my studio, and a lot of people started reaching out to me, and from there, I was proud of myself. And but the work didn't stop there. It was time to push forward. So I started to promote myself even more. I started to pay for to promote myself to Instagram, because Instagram gives you that option where you could pay for promotion, pay to promote yourself. Not that I needed it, but I knew that I needed to invest in myself as well. Not just the studio, not just the equipment, but myself as well. I paid for the promotion, and I got exactly what I paid for. A lot of artists from all over the states started to follow me on Instagram. They would like my pictures. They would watch my stories. They would jump on my live. The main program that I use is GarageBand. GarageBand comes free with all Apple computers, and it has a decent number of vocal presets. GarageBand also has instrument sample that a person can use to produce several beats. Those presets are mixed and free as well. You can purchase your own presets as well if you feel the need to do so. And another reason why I use GarageBand is because while I was doing research, I noticed that producers were using GarageBand to create beats. And to me, it just didn't make sense why produce a beat on one software and then transfer that beat to a different software and lose the quality that you had before. So I went about it, talked to a couple other producers, and we agreed that it's best to keep everything in one. So I decided to just stick with GarageBand, but that didn't stop me from purchasing another program that is most used in the industry, and which is pretty much what everybody in the industry is hoping for. And that program is called Pro Tools. So Pro Tools not only costs an arm and a leg, but it's pretty much the same as GarageBand. I mean, if you know your stuff, you go on Pro Tools, you start messing with it, you start seeing what Pro Tools has to offer. And if you already had knowledge from a previous software, you will realize that it's the same thing. There's not much different. Everything that you can do with GarageBand, you could do it on Pro Tools. Now, the reason why people mostly buy Pro Tools is not just the hype. It's easier. Most of the presets on Pro Tools are already mixed, most of them. Where in GarageBand, not all of them are mixed. Certain ones are. But if you go to Pro Tools, most of them are mixed. Most of them are ready to go. But if you know how to mix, you can just take the presets that you have with GarageBand and get the same outcome as Pro Tools. Another reason why I don't recommend Pro Tools or don't fully use Pro Tools is because in the period of time that I was using Pro Tools, I didn't find the instrument section. It was nowhere to be found. I couldn't, it didn't close my eyes at all. I didn't look for it, but it wasn't there. As in GarageBand, you see the instruments right there in front of you. Pro Tools did not have that section. The second I realized how overhyped Pro Tools was for no reason, I went back to GarageBand and I kept working with GarageBand and I did good with GarageBand. A lot of people liked the work that I put out with GarageBand. I was happy with the work that I put out with GarageBand. A lot of artists came over while I had Pro Tools and they recognized Pro Tools, but at the end of the day, they were more happy with me using GarageBand than Pro Tools because the work that I was doing with GarageBand was way better than what Pro Tools was putting out. Making music is fun, and the reward for producing a good song can be many things: money, fame, or even a legacy. With the proper arrangement, a producer can make close to $72 million a year. For example, DJ Khaled, famous producer, has a net worth of $510 million. DJ Khaled is famous for working with major artists and recently has started modeling. And it's all because he's well known for his great work. Another producer that we can't acknowledge for his great work is Dr. Dre. Not only he has a major influence in the music world, he's also the owner of Beat by Dre, which had took the market for a spin. A lot of people were buying Beat by Dre, and to this day, still do. There is also another program that meet the expectation of GarageBand. That program is called FL Studio. Now, FL Studio offers 3 free months for you to see if you're into it or not. You have 3 months to do so, and it's suitable for Windows and Mac PCs. It don't take a lot of space on your computer. It won't slow it down. It will work with whatever you have going on. Plugins. You can transfer projects that you had from Mac to FL Studio. You can transfer projects that you have from Pro Tools to FL Studio. FL Studio also have its own sets of plugins and actually a better display than GarageBand and Pro Tools. Um, like many other softwares, you can use FL Studio to master your tracks. It has tools like equalization, compression, limiting, and studio enhancement. Now, mastering is the last step of audio production. The purpose of mastering is to balance the sonic element of a studio mix and optimize playback across all system and media formats. Meaning you get your track ready to be played on the radio. You don't want your music going on the radio and sounding bad. That'll make you look bad as an artist. And certain radio station not going to accept your track unless it's mastered. Some radio station not going to accept your track if it's MP3 format. It has to be MP4. Certain radio station will do the mastering for you. It depends. But you want your track to be radio ready before you put it out there. Music is important. I have a lot of love for music because it brings the world together. It brings out the feelings. It light up a room. Music can put the baby to sleep. The best part about music is that it creates memories and keep us entertained. It is important to understand and appreciate it. I strongly believe that without music, the world will be in total chaos and darkness. Thank you.